good morning, beautiful people. It is Thursday, January 16th, and we got a good one for you today. Dante Hall, the X Factor, the human joystick, is joining us, former returner for the Kansas City Chiefs in the first hour, and recently retired linebacker for the Buffalo Bills, Lorenzo Alexander. Odell Beckham Jr. is handing out fake money to the LSU Tigers. Conor McGregor's fighting a cowboy. Aaron Hernandez documentary kept me up till about 1 a.m. last night. Watch that entire thing. My thoughts will be there. Also, your phone calls, 1-833-622-3331. We want to hear from you. Evan Foxy, please play some Chase Rice.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication. 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the McAfee Show. It's the McAfee Show. It's the McAfee Show.
You're damn right it is, Chase Rice. We're in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm joined by all of the boys here sitting on the chatting casting couch at Boston. Connor, how you feeling, pal?
Feeling good. Aaron Hernandez, Doc. Shocking.
Very shocking, especially for the people of the New England area, I would assume, to learn a little bit more about it. I feel like you guys knew more about than the rest of the world, especially about the other two killings. I'll talk about that here in a second. At Nick Moraldo on the ones and twos, Tone Diggs, Ty Schmidt, Jason McAfee. Good to see you, Jay.
Hey, boy, Jay.
At Viva Lazino, at Evan Foxy, and Todd McComas. I think, to be completely candid, while watching that Aaron Hernandez documentary last night, I completely forgot about Aaron Hernandez. Mm-hmm. I think the NFL and the powers that be, whatever it was, eliminated Aaron Hernandez from the pop culture Rolodex so quickly that I completely forgot about an absolute monster that was playing in the NFL. I had just watched the People versus O.J. Simpson like 2 weeks ago, so I've been all in on these athletes that just make terrible decisions and, murder humans, basically. And the O.J. one, I think, was much better done. I think this Aaron Hernandez documentary was not pieced together that great by the filmmaker, but to learn and relearn about the story was kind of shocking and honestly so depressing. I think you obviously have to feel for Odin Lloyd and the two guys that got killed inside the Boston Theater District there, and then whoever he killed in Florida and all these other, who knows, however many other people that he died, that he killed. But also, such a waste of a gifted athlete that Aaron Hernandez was. And this is the same thing that people probably felt with O.J. Simpson. Was this guy who was one of the greatest athletes of all time, who was just an absolute buffoon and made terrible decisions and a sociopath. And Aaron Hernandez was obviously the same exact thing. To be able to just murder people in cold blood and then piece that aside and play in an entire league, an entire game, an entire whatever, and make $40 million is just absolute insanity. And it hammered home the fact even more that your upbringing and the culture that you're around on a regular basis can change you and affect you forever. And obviously, anybody that watched the documentary last night, there was over 1 million, I guess, Google searches of Aaron Hernandez, because I think much like me, and I mean, I was in this world, I was in the NFL. The conversation about Aaron Hernandez, whenever this all came out in the locker rooms, was wild. I mean, because you're talking about, there's a lot of people in NFL locker rooms that think they're gangster, right? There's a lot of people in NFL locker rooms that come from terrible neighborhoods, so they got to put on and all that stuff. But there was nobody really about that life like Aaron Hernandez, is what we all learned very quickly. There was a chance that I dapped up Aaron Hernandez after a game, too. Like, I'm not 100% certain I did, but there is a chance that me and Hernandez dapped each other up. In that hand that I dapped up with after a game, and I think we might have beat them at that particular time or lost, one or the other, it was potentially just holding a revolver, just emptying it into a car, and then waking up the next morning and going and working out and going into a football facility and acting like nothing happened. That is such a sad, sad, sad story. Think about the Patriots, by the way. If they would have had Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski for the duration of that $40 million contract he signed, it would have been the Baltimore Ravens, what the Baltimore Ravens are right now with all the tight ends and everything like that. To Bill Belichick's credit, now he and Kraft, I mean, they brought a terrible human being into New England, which should be, there's no way anybody could have expected that a human from Bristol, Connecticut was going to go to the New England Patriots and just be a complete murderer and stuff like that. So I think what I saw from Belichick in his speech was actually pretty good leadership, where he was like, every time we bring somebody in this community, we try to do our best. Like, I think they were even blindsided by all this, as the community was. But man, this is such a sad, sad story that I watched last night and I had completely forgot that it existed. And I would recommend everybody watch it, to be honest with you, because I think you learn a lot about not just football and the NFL and the amount of money that's made and everything like that, but you're just talking about a human that was walking amongst other humans, walking amongst elite humans, Tom Brady, showering next to Tom Brady at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then at 2 a.m., he was out at a club doing like 50-cent shots, getting upset and emptying an entire revolver into a car, going back to bed, waking up the next morning, playing catch with Rob Gronkowski, and then put that on repeat for the next couple years. I think there's obviously a couple interesting situations where Alexander Bradley, the guy that he allegedly shot in the eye, was trying to kill him, and the Patriots set him up with a hideout apartment that was later deemed a trap house, by the way. Whenever it first came out, everybody was like, this is where he was selling drugs out of and stuff like that. He wasn't selling drugs. He was hiding out over there so that he wouldn't get killed. It was just, I think I learned a lot. I think I remembered a lot. But the only thing I took from it is just how sad, how incredibly sad it is that happens. And in very recent history, that was not that long ago, that somebody who was at the top, the peak of their life, could make decisions that would ruin not only their life, their family's life, but other human beings who had nothing to do with anything. It's just sad that that's how humans exist. And I would argue that Aaron Hernandez's mother is probably top 5 worst moms of all time.
Yeah, easily.
And it scared the hell out of me to have kids. To be honest, it scared the hell out of me to have kids, because if you're a bad parent, there's some bad things that can happen, even if that person happens to be one of the greatest athletes of all time, like Aaron Hernandez was. That was wild last night.
Did it go through, and did the Patriots organization or any of the teammates or coaches or anything know that he was this type of human being outside of the locker room?
No, it felt like nobody had a clue. He had 2 different lives, 2 very different lives, I think. And the only person that probably really knew about it was his fiance, Shayana, who now, you want to talk about ride or die. Yeah. Shayana was a ride or die. Even when her sister's boyfriend was murdered, she was the only one that showed up at his second trial, the one that he was found not guilty. She was the only person sitting behind Aaron Hernandez. Not his terrible mom, who was just probably a massive part of this whole thing happening, but she was a ride or die. It felt like the players, though, had no clue. Like, I think the players knew that he was, maybe did the dope. Maybe he smoked the dope and things like that. But I don't think they had any clue that they were living amongst a gangster. And Tim Tebow, by the way, he has to run for president at some point. Tim Tebow has to run for president. The way he answered that, like, they were obviously, Tim Tebow was with him in college. Tim Tebow was with him at the Patriots when this all happened. It was Tebow mania up there in Foxborough. And, just the way he handled that was incredible. Rob Gronkowski almost fought somebody. I think they were all heartbroken too. Like, just how I feel like watching that, and how I think everybody probably felt watching that, is just how sad of a situation it was. Now, this is not saying I ever feel bad for Aaron Hernandez for killing those people. I feel much worse for the humans that were innocent that got murdered, obviously. But Aaron Hernandez, I would assume everybody that makes the NFL understands that, man, look at us. Like, hey, we made it, right? All of our years of hard work, all of our years of dedication, from wherever our background is, from if it's a single parent to terrible neighborhoods, we made it up here, and we're like proud of each other. And then to see that colossal collapse like that just from bad decisions, I think it was very sad. And I think Gronkowski took it very, very hard, to be honest. In that documentary, there was a time where this guy, because they were in the same room. You got to remember, Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez drafted the same year. They're in the same room. And that can either be something where you hate each other or you get along. And I would assume Gronkowski and Hernandez at work got along. I would assume that that's just the way they are. Hey, we're going to work hard. We're going to get there. And I think it was heartbreaking for everybody. But boy, what a sad, sad, sad situation. I would recommend the documentary, even though I think they put it together in a trash manner. Like, I think it was put together in a trash. It was bouncing around. I think they didn't know what they wanted to do with it. But the story, just being reminded of it, was like, damn, that was not that long ago. And there's a legit chance that we hey man, what's up? And I'm just like, oh yeah, you killed maybe 25 people. It's insane that people can compartmentalize that. And then when he goes to jail, they're like, oh yeah, he was just comfortable in jail. Like, he was just happy to be there. It was like, damn, got a lifetime tat as soon as he got in there. He was in solitary confinement and still found a way to beat the hell out of somebody. It was just like, what a spectacle of a human. And then obviously they study his brain, and it comes out that he has CTE and this incredibly. Now, by the way, I think we in the world make CTE jokes on a regular basis. I think after watching that documentary, I will not do it anymore because I honestly believe the guy had something seriously wrong with his brain. Like, I think his mom was a terrible influence on him. I think his dad was a terrible influence on him. And now, granted, he has a lot of respect for his dad for whatever reason, but I think his upbringing in that house was obviously a dysfunctional one. But I think his brain, I mean, a lot of people are going to say, like, well, that's just an excuse. That's just an excuse. But then when they put his brain next to what a normal brain looked like, there's obviously something cooking up there. I think the CTE joke should maybe relax for a little bit until we continue to learn a little bit more, because it seems like that really messed up a lot of people's lives, the way his brain was just battered and it looks smaller than other brains. It made no sense to me.
Do they frame it as that being the main like linchpin for him, or is it more his upbringing?
Yes.
Because you obviously wouldn't be able to study like
The mom.
Okay.
The mom, if you watch that documentary, the mom seems to be the main reason. It seems to be the main reason. But that story was, I completely forgot about it. And I feel bad that I forgot that it even, like, whenever they're like Aaron Hernandez documentaries coming out, I'm like, yeah, I remember he killed a guy, right? He killed a guy. And then you remember it's like, no, he didn't just kill a guy. He probably killed like 5 people and numerous others and all this other stuff. I mean, it was just like, it was insanity, man. And that Jose Baez guy, you ever get trapped up in a bad situation? He got Casey Anthony out of that obvious murder, and he got Aaron Hernandez out of a double murder after the jury already knew that Aaron was convicted of another murder, and he had a life sentence tattoo on his neck showing to the jury, and Jose Baez got him off of it. I don't know how that works. I have no idea how that works, but it was a very interesting situation.
All your headers in soccer, though, and all the hundreds of tackles you made in football,
Yeah.
you probably had a concussion.
Yeah.
You could make CTE jokes. That's the rule.
I think I have had a few concussions.
That's the rule. That's my rule.
I think I have had a few concussions, but I don't think, like, after you watch that, it's like,
See, now I can't watch it. Same reason that I didn't watch Dr. Bennett Amalu.
the
Concussion.
concussion movie. Dude, it was, that documentary was, and you watch it and you're like, you get 10 minutes into it. I got a text from Nick when he was 8 minutes into it. He was like, just started the Aaron Hernandez documentary. Man, this is going to be sad. And it really was. It was just a tragic story about a wasted talent that couldn't ever be an actual human. Like, he wasn't an actual human. He was just a completely different specimen.
He was so young, too. That's the worst part.
23 years
He went to
older.
Florida at 17, you know?
Since,
Was Urban in this?
Yeah.
yeah, a couple times. Hey, urbanized beef is done.
Gone.
But I think I'm not. A lot of
He
other,
was either he didn't care whatsoever about anything he did, or he was the dumbest human being on the face of the earth.
I don't know. You got to remember, in college towns, football players get in fights and things like that. These are things that happen in college.
Not even in the college stuff. I'm talking about afterwards. Like, when you look at the mountain of evidence they found against him, he either didn't care if he got caught, or
Aaron,
just,
you're talking about?
Yes, Aaron.
Yeah,
Not
see,
Urban.
we were talking about Urban Meyer
Yeah,
there
no,
for a
no.
second, so we got to clarify that you're
Yeah,
talking
sorry.
about Aaron Hernandez. Yeah, Aaron Hernandez did not care. His gum and blunt are sitting right next to the dead guy that's a half a mile away from his house. I mean, he was just a buffoon, obviously. I mean, he was just a dumb person. Or he was just oblivious to the fact that there was laws and rules that you just cannot...
Returned a rental car
Yeah.
with the shell casings in the car still.
Just in case.
He was just dumb. I mean, it was,
Now,
he was just...
I would assume if he has Jose Baez as his lawyer, they would argue, like, you think he's that stupid to leave the shell casing and this and that? He was obviously framed by these other two guys, blah, 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 that whole thing. But I think he was just a buffoon. I honestly think he was a buffoon. And then the conversations that he was having with people from jail while on trial for murder with outside people, just basically incriminating himself in every single conversation. It was just like, this guy... He had no idea that he was even existing as a human, I think. And that is scary to me, by the way, that human can just exist. And I would assume there's a lot more. And I would recommend watching it for everybody. Moving forward, though, big football weekend. Huge. Massive football weekend. We get a chance to talk to Dante Hall, the X Factor, the human joystick, here in about 15 minutes. Pretty pumped up about that. Excited to chat with him about how he changed the game. He was one of the first returners that was just a return expert or return specialist. And I think, to be honest, special teams is going to play a big game in this AFC Championship. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they have not been stout in the protection of their kickers and punters. Just last week, they got a punt blocked that led, obviously, to the Texans scoring, and they muffed a punt and all that stuff. They still end up winning by 20, so I guess it doesn't matter. But I think the Titans, obviously, having attempted a field goal, I think since week 15 or something like that. I think special teams are going to play a pretty big role in these AFC Championship, NFC Championship. We'll talk to Dante Hall about that. We'll talk to Lorenzo Alexander in the second hour. We'll break down all these games, and we'll talk about the NBA and MMA.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we're doing a real sports show. Yesterday, we caused quite a controversy with our baseball talk and our punting talk. Tucker Barnhart generated quite a conversation on the social media about what he said yesterday, about how if this is an unwritten rule of baseball and they're suspending people and kicking them out of the league forever, it's a bunch of malarkey, he says. Mm-hmm. But on the other side, you got people who are like, they were obviously cheating. I don't know how I feel.
Tough situation.
I just took what Tucker Barnhart said as gospel, and that's what I'm going to run with forever.
Sox are in the clear.
Well, they fired their manager, so
And we're in the clear.
Hey, you guys did the right thing.
Yeah.
Self-imposed punishment before anybody else can get you.
Genius.
called a
Is-
football move.
Is LSU going to have to do that? LSU, this Odell Beckham Jr., fake money, real money, Joe Burrow on pardon my take situation is very large, and that's not just going to disappear. This is not a situation where the NCAA is going to be like, oh, the national champion was just getting money after the game on national television, and it's the number one story on a lot of sports shows. Oh, yeah, we'll just let that slide. The NCAA is not going to do that. I'm excited to watch that kind of all unfold. Wild national championship for Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Did a lot.
Did he play? Because sure seemed like it.
I think Odell had a lot of pride for Louisiana.
Yeah, of course.
And for LSU. And I think he is obviously a guy that gets emotional. And I think a lot of the situations there, his emotions got the best of him. And boy, it could end up in some hot water for the state of Louisiana. Coach O is going to have to really,
Yikes.
I mean, all the guys that got money though, right, are all gone.
Yep.
The ones that were shown on video or admitted to it are
So
gone.
what's the difference between an agent giving these guys $20,000 in a loan, by the way? All these players get all these diamond rings and jewelry for the draft and all that stuff. The agents expect that cash back. So it's not like they're just getting money for no reason. Like that is a deal that is made and garnered with people. I don't – Odell's not asking for that money back from those guys.
No.
Is Odell actually doing them a better favor than most agents do who give these guys money before the draft? That's the question that needs to be asked.
Sounds like
He's a
it.
proud alum booster.
They're in trouble, dude. The NCAA. If we know anything about the dictatorship that is the NCAA, a dap up, a $100 handshake, which is something that is talked about on a regular basis, a $1,000 handshake on national television is not going to be something they're going to love. I enjoyed the thought of this is fake money. Like, I enjoyed that spin zone, but then Joe obviously comes out, and I guess in the interview, does he ever say, yes, it was real money?
I mean, maybe not in those words, but he claims that he got real money from Odell Beckham.
Joe Burrow, though, under the influence in that particular situation, so you know.
Maybe admissible. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, NCAA, what do you want? The guy was under the influence of alcohol. He wasn't speaking in his right mind. It was fake money. Obviously, we told you that. Get off our ass. We're the national champion. Go dig into some other world. Go try to find the next Aaron Hernandez. So there's, you know what? Isn't that interesting? The NCAA, Aaron Hernandez was doing all these things down in Florida or whatever. The NCAA was more worried about a guy probably getting $25
Yeah.
than an Aaron Hernandez that was potentially in a school down there. That's a good spin, so LSU should do that.
Yeah.
That's what LSU should say. It was fake money, and why don't you worry about real problems that are in this world as opposed to a handshake from Odell Beckham Jr. The NCAA is not going to let that one sit.
No way.
Not a chance.
They got no proof, though,
That's what
They
you
got
can
an
prove in
admission
court.
of guilt, and they got a video.
of two players that are leaving.
They have all they need to just start digging.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's all they
That's
want.
what the NCAA does, though. The NCAA just
Probable cause.
looks for a little piece of something that they can just dive right in and ruin everybody's life. That's what. And we are not saying that this is something that isn't deserved. We're not saying that Odell Beckham should not be able to go dap up and give $1,000. I think he should be able to. If Odell Beckham wants to give $2,000 to somebody, Odell Beckham should be allowed to give $2,000 to somebody. If he's boys with Jefferson, which I assume they train together at some point because he's an alum, and he wants to dap him up and say, hey, you know what, have a little fun tonight on Bourbon Street on your Uncle OBJ. You know, do what you got to do on little cousin OBJ. We don't have a problem with that. But the rules is the rules. The rules is the rules, and they're bad rules.
Bad rules.
But you just have to know that the rules is the rules.
Bad rules still rules.
bad rules are still rules. Like, I could just walk down the street here in Indianapolis and just smoke the hell out of a blunt. But I can go right over to Denver and do that.
Yeah, you might be able to get away with it.
Connor Campbell can't just walk down the street.
There you go.
So there's this guy in Philly that I've been hearing about for years.
Oh.
And we've been telling you all about his diamonds. If you've ever been to Philly, you've seen it on the billboards, you've heard it on the radio. I hate Steven Singer. He's been making it too easy to buy gifts for over 4 decades. I know we just made it through Christmas, but Valentine's Day is right around the corner. You're probably thinking, I'll just get her flowers again. But flowers die and end up in a trash can within a week. Give her a gift that lasts as long as your love. A real 24-karat gold-dipped rose from Steven Singer Jewelers. Picture it. A real long stem rose preserved and dipped in 24-karat pure gold. This real rose will last forever and comes with a lifetime guarantee. Shipped for free in a beautiful gift box with your own personalized message of love. These roses won't wilt or die, don't even need water, and will remind you each and every day of your love and your effort, which is what this holiday is all about. If this is your first Valentine's Day, Steven's Signature Red Rose is a classic at only $59. Go online to IHateStevenSinger.com, click on roses, and become a hero this Valentine's Day. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price. Steven with a V. We'll be back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Little ditto on the fiddle there. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here on this beautiful Thursday, January 16th. We're being joined now by an all-pro, a man that changed the game, the X Factor. Return specialist, Dante Hall.
Appreciate that. What's up, my man?
Hey, what's up, man? The human joystick is an incredible nickname. I hope they still call you that at the house.
Got 3 kids in 4 years. What do you think?
All right, hey, the Chiefs are damn good. I mean, Tyreek Hill just said, no offense to any. He said, listen, no offense to anybody. With all due respect, he said, which normally means hammer's coming. Yes, it's coming. He said there ain't nobody that can stop us. And to be honest, I don't think there's a single human on earth that disagrees with him. What do you see from this Chiefs team? I assume you're still a massive fan of the Chiefs. What do you see from this Chiefs team that makes them different this year than in years past?
Well, first of all, he's absolutely right. And, sometimes when you tell the truth hurts. And it's just what it is in this case. But I think the difference in this particular team from what I've seen in years past is, especially the successful Chiefs teams where this team can beat you despite rules like don't turn the ball over, don't have special team gaffes, don't have stupid penalties. They are so explosive, they overcome all that. And if you have any defense to go along with this particular offense, I mean, it's lights out.
Dante,
So,
it's standard that if you get a block kick for a touchdown, you lose the game. That's what
Exactly.
it is. If you get a block punt for a touchdown, you lose the game. If you muff a punt inside your own 10 and they get it and they score, you lose the game. Like, those are just stats that are a factual thing. Like, hey, 90% of the time you get a kick blocked, and they just have this ability to withstand anything. And I think, was that Texans' first quarter a wake-up call to a team that is already unbelievable?
I don't think it was a wake-up call at all. I think it was a fluke, to be honest. And even though we had the special team muff, we had the special team block kick for a touchdown, the Texans turned around and did the same thing. They had a muff right inside their 10 and then went for a foolish 4th and 4. So that canceled out that particular game. I just think that quarter, that half was an absolute fluke. We may never see a half of football or a quarter of football like that again.
Dante Hall, you change games immediately upon stepping on the field. Who's the person for the Kansas City Chiefs that they can't, other than Patrick Mahomes, that whenever he's on the field, it's a game changer?
Oh, Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's the speed that makes him, even if he doesn't have a monster game like a 7-catch, 130, just his presence, you must put a man over the top. And then that opens up things for Kelsey, Watkins, and McCole Hardman. So it's hands down Tyreek Hill because of the speed.
You ran a 4.2940.
That's a lie. I think that might be on Wikipedia or something. I've never seen 4.2. 4.36 is my fastest.
What a humble, what a humble response by the,
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, Pat.
Did you write that on the Wikipedia or is your kids? Is Tyreek Hill the fastest player you've ever seen on a football field? I think so.
Yes, not even close. And you have to be in person to see it. TV really doesn't do it justice. You have to see all other 21 guys and their speed in live action and then look at his speed. And it's just wow.
What has
Wow.
Andy Reid done, you think, this year or maybe even last year? I mean, you got to remember, D Ford, a hell of a football player for the Chiefs for a long time, and now for the Niners, he's a game changer. But if he was 6 inches back, the Chiefs probably win that game last year and go on and win the Super Bowl.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that. This year, though, if the Andy Reid conversation has always been Andy's great for the first 10 weeks, first 11 weeks, and then he runs out of ammo and they kind of sputter out. With Patrick Mahomes and all these weapons, it feels like Andy Reid could probably coach another 20, 30 years and still keep it going.
Yeah, and I think Andy Reid is going to be what Andy Reid is. In my opinion, the biggest difference this year is the defense. We have an opportunistic defense. They're actually a little more stout than they were last year. I think that's the difference because when you need a key third down stop, you're getting it with guys like Ty Matthew. Like, did you see the play he had on Hopkins last week during the comeback? Little tidbits like that to keep the momentum running, I think is a difference. Andy Reid is going to be Andy Reid. He's going to put up points. His quarterbacks are going to put up numbers. The offense is going to be top 5 every year. It's the defense this year that's the difference.
What do you think about the Tennessee Titans? They came out of nowhere. The Baltimore Ravens looked like a completely different team than what the Baltimore Ravens look like all year. And I think the 3-week break could have potentially very hurt them. But that
A million percent.
Yeah, a million. Yeah, I agree with you. The Tennessee Titans. You know what? I would run a 4-2 to agree with you on that. The Tennessee Titans, though, have this team that seems to be built to win playoff games. They have a stout defense. They have solid special teams, even though they don't kick field goals. Brett Kern is an absolute stud, keeps the ball away from the returner. And that offense with Derrick Henry in the background, who's not only running for cash, but he's running through individuals. Is there a chance that the Titans can upset the Chiefs this weekend, or do you see that or no?
I mean, it's absolutely a chance. And it's funny, the comment you just made, because I actually was thinking about this, or in another interview, we talked about it. But think about this. You got this new school Andy Reid offense that's just throwing the ball all over the place. And then you got the old school, kind of your era, definitely my era, of smash mouth, like you say, run game, strong defense, strong special teams. That has been the formula for years, if not forever, to win Super Bowls. So it's going to be interesting to see which style wins out. Is it smash mouth D, or is it opportunistic D and crazy offense? It's going to be a styles game this week, so I'm looking forward to that.
The Chiefs could have put up 100 points last week. Yeah, I don't know how long Derrick Henry and that Titans offense have to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline, but it's going to have to be a long damn time, because I think in a matter of 4 minutes they scored 24 points or something like that. That is insanity. Let's move over to the NFC side now. Niners, Packers. Obviously, everybody loves that Niners defense. Everybody loves Kyle Shanahan and his big brain. He's also a very good coach, but the Packers have Aaron Rodgers. And I think that is literally what you have to remember in all these conversations. They have a better defense than they've had in the past. They have Aaron Rodgers, who always seems to get it done in these types of situations. But that Niners team looks like they are going to be tough, especially at home in Santa Clara. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts, I agree with everything you just said, but I think the Niners pull it out. The defense is just going to be too stout. When you can rush four, and that's how you stop a great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. You have to be able to get there with just four. And that's what the Niners can do. But then the Niners can also be explosive on offense. I like Garoppolo. Some people are kind of iffy. I really like him. If Bill Belichick was behind this guy, I'm definitely behind this guy. And my eyes tell me to be behind this guy. And I love the rookie Samuels. I like the vet Samuels too. But the rookie Samuels is a difference maker. So with that front four, the difference maker with Samuels and Garoppolo, I think they get it done. I like the Niners in this one.
What a hilarious line there. Listen,
what did I say?
If Bill Belichick likes that guy, then because everybody's been talking about how Jimmy G's just a game manager. He doesn't really win games for the Niners. But it is forgotten that there was a lot of rumors and conversation that Billy B wanted to go with Jimmy G instead of Tommy B there for a long time. And then they had to get him out of town because of the conversation.
That's you got your gold chain over there. You busting flows and dropping bars on us right now.
Hey, this is a T-shirt. We don't have it up for sale yet.
Oh. Man,
you see that? It looks real, doesn't it?
I thought that was a real Cuban link.
Hey, we'll send one to you, man. I can't afford the Cuban links. We'll send one to you. Did you watch that Aaron Hernandez documentary yet?
I started it last night.
How sad.
I mean, yeah. Sad, baffling. I'm watching to see, is there anything new I'm going to learn? You know what I mean? Like, what? Because I've seen the documentaries, I've seen the stories, read articles. I'm waiting to see, is there anything new that's going to make me be more on his side, not on his side, but more understanding of why, or if I'm just going to be left feeling the same way.
You know, I had forgot about it. To be honest, I forgot about the Aaron Hernandez. Yeah, like I think that is how bad You're
a millennial, aren't you? No. I think you are that millennial.
Okay, right? Boomer.
Y'all just got that short attention span. You're a millennial.
I mean, obviously, I remembered there, but I forgot just about how good he was. I forgot about how good he was at football. Like, I think that is something that doesn't get talked about whenever you think about Aaron Hernandez. He was so good at football. He was so rich, and he threw everything away because he was just a terrible decision maker. And I don't think anybody in the locker room had any idea that he had the second life that was happening outside. I honestly don't think that. And I think that's the most surprising thing to me, is that in the locker room, I feel like you get to know everybody. That's what, when people retire, they miss the camaraderie, the brotherhood in the locker room. I think Aaron Hernandez, I don't think he had much camaraderie in the locker room, and I don't think anybody had a clue what was going on outside.
I agree completely, because what guy, if throughout all the documentaries, what teammate was he constantly with? You never see a guy. It was always guys outside of football. And, like you say, typically you're going to be cool with all 53 men on the roster, but you're going to cling to 2 or 3 or 4. I've never seen this guy attached closely to any of his teammates. So I agree. I don't think any of them knew because I don't think he was hanging with them.
That's interesting. Who's your favorite person that you ever played against or with?
With is easy. He's not even a big name. Sylvester Morris. He's still my best friend today. He was at my wedding. I was in his wedding. He was a first-round draft pick. He had injuries that totally derailed his career. First-round draft pick, played 1 year in the NFL. First-round draft pick. Sylvester Morris. He's by far my favorite guy, even though he's not the biggest name.
What position?
Wide receiver from Jackson State. He was 6'4", ran a 4.38 at 2. I think he played at 215. And he got drafted first round out of Jackson State after playing 1 year. He was a beast. But because he was built like a damn chicken and had chicken legs, he tore both his ACLs up and he had a hip injury. And I just think it's because, that was just a freakish body he had. 6'4", 215, running a 4.38. It's kind of like A.J. Green. Guys like that are tall, slender. It's just hard to stay healthy.
What are your thoughts on the XFL? I think you would, if you were in your prime right now, you might score 45 touchdowns with the new XFL rules. Nobody's allowed down the field before the ball is punted. The kickoff rules, nobody's allowed to get a running start for cover. You might score literally 45 touchdowns if you're in the XFL right now. Do you like those rules?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's just backyard football. These guys got organized backyard football. It's crazy.
You like it or hate it? You think the NFL will adapt?
I like it.
Of course you do.
I like it because football, the offseason is just too long. You got freaking baseball going 9 months. You got basketball lasting 8-9 months or whatever. And football, it's like we have to wait. What's coming up? February 1st? Just look at all the time in between. So I don't mind a little XFL, a little football in between that time span.
Who's your favorite returner in the league right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. McCole Hardeman.
Come on.
McCole Hardeman.
I mean, isn't it crazy though? Tyreek Hill, if Tyreek Hill was just to focus on returning, he would be an all-pro returner every single year. Every single year he would be. And somehow Andy Reid and that personnel, I don't know who the GM makes the decisions over there, they have found somebody that's
Brett Veach. He's a beast.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he is, because you take Tyreek Hill and you're like, how would you ever want to take Tyreek Hill out of the returning game? They're like, don't worry about it. We got this other guy that will just drop right in.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think what happened, if you remember when Tyreek got into the little trouble in the offseason, no one knew if he was going to still be on the team, get suspended, any of that. It was looking very bad for him when it first came out. And this was around draft time. So I think what happened was the Chiefs didn't know, and they went and got an insurance policy. And it just so happened in a fortuitous way that the Chiefs were able to keep both of them. Now you got 2 speedsters, 2 return men, and you can put the rookie back there and save Tyreek. That's really what happened.
You know what you could do? You can do that fake return, where the one guy acts like he's catching the ball. I assume they're going to bust that out at some point. Tyreek Hill.
I hope not. I don't want to see anything. No more. Just let McCole catch the ball and take off running. No tricks. Don't put Tyreek back there. None of that. Just let McCole Hardeman do his thing. He saved us 2 games so far. If you've been watching the Chiefs, in what game was that? It was the final week. He saved the team.
Against
we were
Chargers.
down 24. He broke a return, broke the game wide open. We're down last week. He breaks a big return when we're down 24-7, gets the ball rolling. So I really like his momentum. I like what he's done in the last few weeks.
Returners can change the game. They don't get enough respect. Dante Hall, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I can't wait to see that happen. The human joystick, thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. The X Factor, Dante Hall.
My man.
Thank you, man. Cheers. Good luck to the Chiefs.
Peace.
The Chiefs are such a dynamic team, and it feels like they're not going to let what happened last year or anything get in their way. That first quarter could have brought them down, could have disparaged them a little bit. Instead, they just continued to stack and believe. And I don't know how you stop that team. Honestly, I don't know how you stop that team. But nobody knew how you stopped the Baltimore Ravens. And the Tennessee Titans were able to do it because Mike Vrabel has that team believing. Mike Vrabel has a team that's built to travel. That team does not care about the noise that the kingdom's going to bring. They do not care about how cold it's potentially going to be. They don't care about how many points the Chiefs are going to to score. They're going to do what they do. They're going to run the ball. The offensive line's going to control the line of scrimmage. But if they have to punt just a few times, you have to think that Patrick Mahomes and that offense are going to be able to figure out the Titans' defense and score, just because that's what they've been able to do all the damn time.
Them going down by that much and then being able to come back and win is probably the best thing ever to happen to them. It was whether it was a wake-up call or not, it seems like it was, and now they're going into this week like, we cannot let that happen again.
Or if they get down, like, hey, remember we're
we're
down
cool.
24 zip. Yeah. Remember just like last week we were down 24 zip and nothing happened. We got to get to a break. 10:41 here on the East Coast, 7:41 West Coast. Shout out to Dante Hall for joining us. That guy used to be lightning.
He's awesome.
He was. He was very cool. At the draft, he was awesome too. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
There's not enough spots every year, though. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
the problem. Not enough spots every year. And then you have to pay respect. It's just like the NFL all-time team. Like, they had to pay respect to the legends that built the game. Like, you know what I mean? It's just an interesting thing in the politics game. But he was a game changer. He opened the door, I think, for guys like Devin Hester. He opened the door for these guys that became return specialists. And to be honest, back in the day, there was only one or two teams that had great specialists, and they benefited from it. Nowadays, it's everybody has a returner.
Did you see the clip of Drew Pearson not getting into the Hall of Fame? That was heartbreaking.
That was heartbreaking. You always see the happy ones.
Yeah.
Drew Pearson's family was like, okay, we're going to find out now how people feel whenever your heart is broken in the Hall of Fame. Drew Pearson's the only guy from the all-decade team, the 70s
Yeah.
all-decade team that isn't in.
Yeah. Surprised his family let that out.
Well, I think that's why. Because let's assume that the NFL is not going to let that video get out again next year. So what's going to happen?
Yeah, he'll probably get in next year.
There we go. Which, by the way, deserving. Hall of Fame is something that is such a high aspiration, you know? To make it to the NFL, you got to be what, like 0.0001% of football players of all time. Then to make it to the Hall of Fame, it's the same type of thing. And the standards are insane, and there's different levels, and there's different generations. I would not want to be a part of the group that has to pick who gets in and who doesn't get in, because you're always going to make a mistake, you're always going to mess it up, and then you're always going to have legends hate you, like Drew Pearson, and his whole family hates him, as they should. And that guy from the Hall of Fame, that massive man,
Big fella.
he is such a nice guy. He is such a nice guy, but Drew Pearson's family hates that massive man. We'll be back on the other side with some phone calls. Brandon, Marcus, James, Dylan, and Kyle. Can't wait to chat with you and wrap up hour one. We got Lorenzo Alexander in hour two. Also, we'll break down the Cowboy-Cerrone fight with McGregor, who's now sober, is what Zito is telling me.
Yep.
Now sober. Probably a smart decision. Alcohol can do some bad things for you. Also, stupid questions that have been asked on other sports talk shows, we will tackle those. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. I have no idea why. Should Hey, I like this song.
Yeah.
This was actually sent in by a listener.
What?
Yeah, I think it's at That's So Nick on Twitter, I think his name.
Oh, your burner account.
That's so Nick.
Did you make this song?
I wish I made it.
This person made this song?
Yeah.
Hey, good for you, Nick.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, not me.
So Nick.
I would never take credit.
Let's get to Kyle in Oregon. Kyle, what's going on, pal?
Pat, this phone call is brought to you by Manscaped, the precision tools for your family jewelry.
Kyle, good for you, man. That was awesome. What do you want to talk about?
Thanks. Now that Brady got hired on at Carolina, what do you think the odds of them trading up to get number one are?
Great question there. We started talking about this yesterday about how the Cincinnati Bengals are the only organization that could potentially ruin this setup that is set up for them right now. They're the only organization that could potentially miss out on an Ohio kid coming back to Ohio, riding this incredible wave of W's to potentially bring the Bengals back to relevance when they disappeared, especially after this last year. Whenever everybody thought other teams were tanking, they were trying and sucking. I mean, the Bengals are a very interesting situation. The Bengals fan base is one that we know a lot about. We did a show in Cincinnati. We have a lot of fans in Cincinnati. We're very thankful for Cincinnati. But that Bengals organization, I think, is the only team at this stage. Now, granted, the Browns, too. You can always lump them in there. But the Cincinnati Bengals are the only franchise that could potentially mess up this layup that they have for a new face of a franchise, which is Joe Burrow, a guy that I think would relish the opportunity to turn around Cincinnati, would relish the opportunity of going back to Ohio, that would be able to maybe bring some attention, some notoriety, and some positivity to the Bengals. They're the only ones that could potentially fall into the hype of a trade to think that they can get other players that can make them better, as opposed to a franchise quarterback that's from the same state that would look to do good for their organization.
I mean, there's no way, right? They're
the only ones that could do it.
They would have to, like, Carolina would have to give them a king's ransom to get rid of that pick.
We don't know.
You would think.
You don't know how the Bengals operate.
That's true.
The Bengals still don't have an indoor practice facility. It's 2020.
I'm telling you, I don't think they know that you're allowed to trade draft picks.
Dylan in Knox, Indiana. What's going on, Dylan?
How's it going, boys? Can I address something before I get to my actual question real quick?
Yeah, I mean, Dylan, you know what? Just your show.
No, it's your show, but
No,
it's the number one
Dylan, your show. Dylan, your show.
It's the number one show in all of radio, so I hope Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is listening. I just want to say T's and P's to him and his family.
You know what? Let's have a moment of silence, Dylan. Actually, that was going to be in our news there to end the hour, but you brought it up because you're a good show host. Let's have a little moment of silence for Rocky Johnson. And we're back, Dylan. Rocky Johnson, rest in peace. He made a legend and was also a legend himself. Very thankful for Rocky and everything he gave to our society. What do you want to talk about, Dylan?
So my question is, with all the drama with LSU and OBJ and the cash, can they Reggie Bush that Heisman Trophy from Joe?
Oh, well, they won't be able to prove that he took money while he was at school. They'll only be able to, now granted, unless they start digging, which the NCAA, their offices are right here in Indianapolis. Very large. Mm-hmm. It is a very large headquarters. They have a lot of employees over there because there's a lot of money generated by the NCAA. I would assume that they're going to be digging into this. I don't think they'll be able to prove that Joe got money while he was participating because his career ends immediately as soon as that game ends, right? Yeah. He immediately becomes eligible for the draft and agents as soon as that game's over. I might be wrong. The NFL season doesn't end until March. But I think in college, as soon as your last game is played, you are up and at 'em. So unless they can prove that he was taking daps and handshakes from OBJ for $1,000 during his career, I don't think they'll be able to go after him because the thing about Reggie is Reggie had an apartment while he was playing his family or whatever, which I can't state this enough. We hate the rule that this can't happen. We hate the rule that Odell Beckham isn't allowed to give some of his millions of dollars to people that he views as family. We hate the rule that it exists. We hate that Reggie couldn't get an apartment for his family, one that they probably couldn't afford in Los Angeles while he was making a crap ton of money for the USC program. We hate the rule, but it's just the way the NCAA is. They're a dictatorship, and I think rules are changing a little bit for them to make money off of their names and stuff like that, but that doesn't come in for a couple years. I think this is going to be a lot larger than people think, and I don't think he'll lose the Heisman, but I do believe they'll dig into LSU, and Coach O is going to have a headache for the next, 4 or 5 months until next season.
Also, I don't know how it works, but I'm pretty sure he graduated in December, so with the game being after that, is he still in line there for, sanctions or anything? I don't know.
Me neither. I hate the NCAA, but
hate them.
They have a little bit of power.
Yeah.
And money.
And they like to abuse it. which is normally something that people with power like to do. We'll be back on the other side. Great question there by Dylan and a moment of silence. More conversation, more chatter, more calls, more life. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
It's the perfect occasion for a mental vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication. 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
There is a very frustrated lady yelling in the hallway directly outside our studio. I just heard. Welcome to the Pat McAfee Show, Hour 2. It is Thursday, January. I mean, that lady's not happy. I don't know what happened right over here, but that was.
I'll check it out.
Thank you, Zito. That's Viva La Zito leaving. It's Thursday, January 16th. Boston Connor is on the couch. We'll get to an NBA update here in a second. Nick Morato's on the ones and twos. Tone Diggs, Ty Schmidt, Jason McAfee, Evan Foxy, and Todd McComas has done a great job on the phones. 1-833-622-3331. Big news yesterday was Aaron Hernandez documentary was released on Netflix, who is expecting to spend $17 billion in the year 2020 on new content. Good for Netflix creating things like that. By the way, Netflix, just sup, dude. Sup. Wait, we got a lot of ideas here. If you want to just, drop 1% of that just into this room, we'd be very excited about that. The Netflix documentary captivated everybody last night. Aaron Hernandez was the number 2 trend behind Rachel Maddow, who had a very serious interview happening that I've heard was very serious. Because I was watching the Aaron Hernandez documentary, and I was like, is everybody watching this right now? And I went to Twitter, and everybody was watching it. And I think in the first hour, I stated a lot of things about it. We talked about it. I had almost forgotten about the Aaron Hernandez situation. Now, I didn't forget that Aaron Hernandez was a murderer. I didn't forget that he had hung himself. I didn't forget about that. But it just wasn't something that was in the top of my mind, and it wasn't that long ago. And I think that was the most jarring thing, is that I didn't think, I didn't recall exactly how terrible of a human Aaron Hernandez was while being one of the greatest athletes to ever exist. I mean, this monster man who was very athletic, who was obviously very conflicted inside of his own brain on a lot of things, but just a terrible decision maker who ruined a lot of people's lives, all because he was just a buffoon. And that is something that was shaped by his parents, his family, his upbringing, his brain, his this, his that. But ultimately, his decision-making was a terrible one. And to think that a guy who had it all, $40 million, dream job for a lot of people, playing for a team that is in his backyard, basically, growing up, and he still just wasn't able to figure it out. It was just a tragic story to hear. It was a tragic story for the people that died, the ones that were in the documentary, and then the potential others the potential others that Aaron Hernandez could have killed with zero conscience at all. Like killing people, then going to shower with Tom Brady just 4 hours later and going to work and practice and everything like that. And then going back out and killing people and going to work again. I mean, it was just an insane story that exists in our world today, that there's probably other humans like that we should think about. But man, we have a mental health problem in this world, and I think that is something that is real with Aaron Hernandez. We have a parenting problem in this world that I think is very real with Aaron Hernandez. And ultimately, we have a bad decision-making problem in this world, and I think that plays with Aaron Hernandez as well. And that's what I took from the documentary last night. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. I think the filmmakers were trash. I think the way they put it together was not that well done, but the story is one that captivates you no matter what.
They always said the worst thing that happened to him was being drafted by the Patriots because he went back to where he knows everyone. Did they highlight that?
Oh, yeah. And Urban Meyer in there even talked about, he said that one of the problems that he recognized with Aaron Hernandez, and people have tweeted me that Nick Saban said this as well in an interview before Aaron Hernandez went to Florida. He said you have to keep him out of his hometown. You have to keep him away from where he was. And Urban Meyer said every single time he went back, there's something happened, and then he came back. And Urban Meyer said a big part of it was trying not to let him go back there. Then he gets drafted there. He's paid a lot of money there, given all access there. And it was just kind of a recipe for disaster from Jump Street with his dad and his mom, his situation, and his decision-making. It's just sad for everybody, and I think that's what I got from the documentary. I was up to like 1:30 watching that thing, by the way, because the more and more came out, I was like, oh, damn, I remember that. Oh, my God, I didn't know that. And then to think that I might have dapped that guy up on a football field, and then just a couple weeks later, he went and killed somebody. I mean, that's just to be able to flip that switch. I'm always intrigued by those things. I'm always intrigued by the humans that walk amongst us that have this ability to kill and then just go about their lives. I have no idea how you do it. Aaron Hernandez was somebody that was able to do it, and it was just a sad, sad story. Somebody that was very gifted, very special, very talented, blew it all because he was a victim of being a buffoon. And that is just, it was a sad, sad story.
It almost seems like he had like a split personality
Oh,
because
yeah.
you look at like serial killers or whatever, like those people aren't in like the limelight constantly. Like he's playing football on Sundays. Everyone knows who he is. Like being able to actually like manage those two situations, like that's almost impossible to grasp.
Interviews too.
Yeah.
Like having to do interviews and like, he's like in his interviews, likable, seems to be laughing. I remember one of his last tweets after this all came out. He was like a Puma photo shoot. Like Puma was like, Twitter, is there any way? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, you're talking about a guy who it feels like had everybody fooled except for a collection of people that live in the same world that he was dabbling in at night, you know? And it's just, I didn't know humans could do that, to be honest. And that's what the documentary showed me. I forgot about it.
It was jarring, his lack of remorse for anything. And then the one thing, I don't want to spoil too much, but there was one moment, it's chilling. It's in the first couple minutes. He's in his jail cell and he's on a phone call with his mother, I believe, and he talks about how perfect his cell looks and how much he enjoys his cell.
Yeah, and even the guards were like, hey, there was something wrong with this guy. Like, he just adapted completely to jail life immediately. Like, just completely adapted to jail life. Was like, I got a clean cell. Can I get some Harry Potters? I'm going to read some Harry Potters, and I'll be out of here soon. And it's just, it was all very, very interesting. And then the way he went out, obviously, is just, I mean, the Aaron Hernandez story is one that kind of disappeared for a long time. And I'm happy they did this documentary to bring it back to the forefront, to remind people that decision-making, upbringing, and ultimately a lack of just remorse is something that some humans have. And we should learn that. The CTE brain thing, though, a lot of people, I mean, it's something that as soon as the movie Concussion came out, you heard a lot of people say like, oh, this isn't a real thing. This is a real thing. Dr. Will Smith doesn't know what he's talking about. These people know what they're talking about. It was always like the billionaires who own the NFL did not want to be the people blamed for an inherent risk sport of football potentially ruining people's lives with this CTE thing. So it was always this conversation of, oh, it's not even a real one. It's not even a real disease. It's hearsay. It's this, it's that. And then you got the people who are like, well, we can't just blame things like CTE for people making terrible decisions. When they showed his brain next to somebody else's brain, like, I think it's at least worthy of a discussion. And I'm not saying that it's NFL's fault. I don't think it's high school football's fault. I think whenever people play football, they understand that there's an inherent risk. But I do think that the CTE thing does affect the way humans act. And I don't take blame out of his parents. Like, I don't take blame out of his upbringing and his own self-decisions that he was in, the situation he was in and everything like that, for him making terrible decisions. But I do believe that the brain conversation should be one that is had. And I think it is affecting a lot of people.
Yeah, when you put the brain together with an upbringing, then it's just kind of a
it's
recipe.
part of the recipe. It's not the whole cause. It's a piece of the puzzle.
They also showed, too, he took an aptitude test or an IQ test, and his social maturity was the lowest.
A 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
A 1 out of 10. What was that one that coachable, though? He was like a 10 out of 10 on coachable. Like, he was 10 out of 10 coachability, 1 out of 10 on social maturity. It was just, he was a recipe for disaster, and he was handed the keys to everything that he ever could have possibly wanted. And a lot of people were very innocent and lost their lives because of it. 3 noted. Well, I'm sorry. The 2 he got found not guilty for somehow. I don't know. He was at least there. He was at least there for the killing. If he didn't do it, he was at least there. And then obviously Odin Lloyd. Everybody assumes he did it because he was found guilty for it, but it was just like the guy was around murder on a very regular basis. He was around shooting people on a very regular basis while still performing at an elite level in something that is not easy to do. That is it's mystifying to me, to be honest with you. I think everybody should watch it. Honestly, I think they should. Also, I think everybody should watch the way the NCAA handles this Odell Beckham situation with LSU. I think right now, lead story on a lot of things today is, pardon my take, Big Cat and PFT, legendary podcast, had Joe Burrow on immediately after the national championship while everybody was feeling pretty good. And Joe Burrow alluded to the fact that he did get a handshake from Odell Beckham Jr. I guess he never officially said it was real money. LSU's spin was that it was fake money, which, by the way, could never prove that the dap that was put on camera between Odell Beckham Jr. and Justin Jefferson was fake money. Could never prove, unless they followed him specifically with that cash all the way to a store where he used it, they wouldn't be able to prove it. Now they're piecing together the Joe Burrow statement plus the video plus some other things, and the NCAA is going to be sitting back with a bunch of pens and papers and saying, how in the hell do we dive even deeper into this to attempt to ruin a lot of people's lives over something that is just so ridiculous and so terrible? And I think this is potentially going to be a real bad situation for LSU.
How would Coach O or anyone at LSU be at fault? Like the mosh that's going on after that game, how do you
This is reason what you're asking. What you're asking is reason. The NCAA does not deal in reason. They deal in like letter of the law and how they can ruin people's lives. And that's always been my issue with the NCAA is they do things, they dive into things that nobody would say like, yeah, you should dive into that. You know what I mean? Like they'll go, like the kid from Memphis, for instance. They dive into his sophomore year of high school when his family was brought in. It was like nobody, hey, come on, man. Like that, there's no reason to do that. With this, there's smoke, so NCAA is going to assume that there's a fire somewhere. They're going to try to dive into it, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger until there's another news story that lets this disappear.
If you're Odell, I love you giving money to players at LSU and your boys that you probably worked out with and who you probably tutor and stuff like that. But just wait till you get in the locker room.
Yeah, he's an emotional guy. Odell Beckham is an emotional guy. And he had that fanny pack. I dapped him up like 7 times. How come I didn't get any $1,000 handshakes? And we have to preface this with, if you're a sane individual, you think these rules are stupid. You think the fact that Odell Beckham can't dap up somebody, give him $1,000, who he's probably friends with and trained, just like you said. We think it's stupid. But the rules is the rules. Mm-hmm. And the NCAA is the worst.
I don't agree with jaywalking, but I pay attention to it.
You see that hand?
You jaywalk every day.
I know, but
On your way into
but
the
it's a
office.
law.
I can say things that I don't mean.
Do it every day. You do it every day. That's one of the rules of radio. That's one of your rules of radio. Is just say things that are completely fabricated and fake into a microphone and hope not to get caught.
Can't fit, bro.
That is the Tone Diggs method. We got to get to a break before we get some phone calls. We got a Lorenzo Alexander joining us in like 20 minutes. Recently retired Lorenzo Alexander, linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. We'll talk to him about this AFC team. If he was the linebacker going against this Kansas City Chiefs team, what would you do? What would be the plan? And if you were playing against the Tennessee Titans, how do you tackle Derrick Henry? How do you do it? Tyrann Matthew said he tried. He thought he broke his jaw the first time. Thought he broke his jaw. Derrick Henry is still waiting on like probably, what, $60 to $70 million to $80 million potentially? He's going to continue to house people.
Yeah.
You keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, probably win the game. Derrick Henry's a guy that can do that for you. I think that AFC Championship game is going to be a lot better than people think, strictly because the Chiefs were able to hang 50-some points in like 10 minutes on the Texans. I don't think it's going to work like that against the Titans. Maybe. I could be wrong. We're in for a good one. We'll talk to Lorenzo Alexander about it. The new year is about growth and change. If you're a business owner looking to grow your business, blossom your business, LinkedIn can help you find the right hires that can set you up for a strong year. LinkedIn Jobs screens candidates with the hard and the soft skills you're looking for so you can hire the right person fast.
What are soft skills?
You know, I often ask that, and then I got a chance to check out LinkedIn Jobs, and I was like, oh, they're talking about things like creativity, collaboration, adaptability. LinkedIn looks beyond the work skills and puts your job post in front of qualified candidates who match your business requirements perfectly. That's how LinkedIn makes sure your job post is seen by the people you want to hire, people with the skills, qualifications, and other interests that will help your business grow. It's no wonder a person is hired every 8 seconds with LinkedIn. 8 seconds. And why companies rated LinkedIn Jobs the #1 hiring platform for delivering quality hires. Good for LinkedIn Jobs. Find the right person for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. Just visit LinkedIn.com/Pat. Again, that's LinkedIn.com/Pat to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions obviously apply. We'll get some phone calls on the other side and stupid questions that have been asked on sports shows. We'll do that. We'll do some news that we missed. We got a hell of a show for you these last 45 minutes. You listen to the Pat McAfee Show. No clue why. Shout out to Herb Street's dog, just passing out in the creek. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here on this Thursday, January 16th. Let's get to some phone calls. Brandon in Indianapolis, Indiana. What's up, dude?
What's going on, bud? Question about the Colts draft. I've seen like 3 different things, some quarterbacks, wide receivers, AJ Espinoza. Personally, I think with all the, 3 or 4 potential first-round tackles, with Anthony Costanzo on the bricks and maybe retiring, I look at offensive line for the next, some years to go.
All right. Thanks for the question, Brandon. Thanks for the call in. I think that the Colts need a weapon. I think if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I need a weapon. But Chris Ballard loves building through the trenches. He took Quentin Nelson, the 6th pick or something like that, and everybody lost their mind. He's been a game changer for them. Also, the Jacoby Brissett decision still has to be made. Anthony Costanzo still has to make his decision. I think there's a lot that has to happen for the draft. But in my eyes, the Colts need another weapon bad. Because as soon as T.Y. Hilton went down, they went down, and that's obviously a shame.
It's a deep wide receiver draft, too.
Deep. And Higgins declared for the draft.
Yep.
Jefferson declared for the draft. Chase can't, right? Because he was only a sophomore or
Believe
whatever.
so, correct.
That kid's unbelievable. There's the top 3 pick.
You have the 2 Alabama wideouts, and then you have C.D. Lamb. There's a lot of
KJ Hill.
Hey, let's get to stupid questions that have been asked by sports shows.
You got it.
Let's do that brand new segment that we started a couple weeks ago because we are a sports show and other sports shows ask questions that we should probably ask. But it's very difficult to take them serious whenever the questions are as such, Mr. Tone Diggs.
This question has been asked the last few days on a couple shows. Who would you draft number 1, Tua or Burrow?
Yeah, this is a wild question because I understand that going into the year, the tank for Tua situation was a real situation. I mean, that was a real conversation. Tua was this guy who came into Alabama and was able to drop a ball into a bucket with his offhand. Remember, he is a righty. His dad forced him to be a lefty, and he was able to pick apart defenses in the SEC, something that Alabama didn't always do. Alabama normally relied on their running back, their offensive line, and good defense. And then Tua gets in there, wins a national championship by picking people apart. And he was this proto-style quarterback where he could sit back in the pocket, he looked good, and he could really dissect defenses and all these things. Top prospect, everybody's eyes. Nobody even knew who Joe Burrow was. We talked to Todd McShay. Todd McShay said Joe Burrow was probably a 5th round, 6th round pick going into this last season. So whenever Tua yet again has another injury with his hip and his ankle, and he's had 3 surgeries in 2 years, and you watch this Joe Burrow growth in an NFL offensive system like he had with Joe Brady as his offensive coordinator, to think that you would still take an injured Tua who says he's going to be healthy by April, but do we know, over a guy who has one of the hottest heaters right now in the history of sports, who already has an NFL offense, who has grown from 16 touchdowns to 60 touchdowns in one particular year. To say that you would take Tua over Joe Burrow would be a very dumb thing, but I do believe Tua, with 1 year of, rest, 1 year of rehab, 1 year of maybe learning behind a veteran quarterback, could still be a very, very good NFL quarterback. But there's no way a GM right now could pick Tua over Joe Burrow, because if Tua gets hurt, that GM is immediately fired, because everybody in the fan base, everybody in the organization would say, well, no, doy, dummy. So that's a dumb question, I think. But I like the fact that it spurs conversation. I just think Joe Burrow is the obvious answer there. He's earned it. And will the Cincinnati Bengals mess it up? Maybe. Carolina Panthers hire his offensive coordinator. Now everybody's like, are the Carolina Panthers in play to make a play for Joe Burrow? If the Cincinnati Bengals mess this layup up, mess up this alley-oop, if they LeBron James that thing off the side of the rim and they decide to trade out of there and not get a new franchise player, a new face of the team, an Ohio kid that looks like he would love that opportunity, if they end up trading out of there to get more picks and let somebody else pick them up, they are going to look stupid. But I think that's what Bengals fans have come to expect of the Bengals organization. I just don't think there's any chance they do it. But if any team was to do it, the Cincinnati Bengals or the Detroit Lions would do it.
Now, people would say this is driving the price up on Burrow, but Bengals coaches are already talking that Burrow checks all the boxes.
Yes, he checks all the boxes, and he's from Ohio, which is just a whole nother level for Ohioans, I would assume. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the Athens County food drive, and he's already a hero to the state. He's on this incredible heater. He smokes cigars. He's this Midwestern. I mean, it's just, he's everything that you would want if you're the Cincinnati Bengals organization. But look for teams to try to bait the dum-dums at the Bengals out of that situation to make a mistake and potentially miss out out on a franchise player. Also, look for a lot of smoke screens from teams that are behind in the draft to build up Tua to be better than Joe Burrow, just in an attempt to hopefully persuade the Bengals to build up Tua. There's a lot of smoke screen. There's a lot of misdirection. There's a lot of teams that are hoping to make other people make other decisions. It's a lot of chess, a lot of poker, a lot of setup. I think Joe Burrow is just the perfect candidate for the Cincinnati Bengals. This is just like when Andrew Luck was taking visits. He was at the Colts. He took a visit to the Colts before the draft, and I happened to see him there. And West Virginia is our tie. His dad was the athletic director at West Virginia at the time. He knew a lot about Morgantown and all that stuff, so he knew who I was, and obviously I knew who he was. And I was in the training room, and he walked in. He was meeting everybody. I was like, Andrew, what's up, man? Your life's got to be pretty hectic. He was like, yeah, I got to go to the Washington Redskins tomorrow or whatever. And I was like, why? Like, have we not already told you we're drafting? He was like, well, I have to take all the visits, Pat. I was like, well, if we don't draft this guy, I mean, we're making a mistake. And he couldn't say anything, but it was still like he had to do all his, his visits and things like that. There's stuff that's going to start happening that's going to come out about how good Tua is and all this stuff. They're going to be trying to persuade the Bengals that for some reason to take Tua instead of Joe Burrow. And honestly, if the Bengals mess this up, if the Bengals trade out of there and let another team get Joe Burrow, I will love it. I will absolutely love it because it gives us a lot to talk about. But Bengals fans wouldn't deserve that. I think Joe Burrow is obviously number one.
You want a dumb take?
Yeah.
A team that could do it and has the ammo to do it, Jacksonville. They have 2 first-round picks from L.A. in this year and next year's draft. So they have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years.
Well, the Jacksonville wouldn't be dumb to do that. I don't think the Bengals would be the ones that would be dumb to do that. The Bengals not having a franchise player. I mean, Andy Dalton got a lot of wins for the Bengals. The Bengals won a lot of games. People forget that. The Bengals, in not so far history, right? Like I think like 5 years ago, they'd win like 11 games, 10 games. They were in playoffs. They were doing all these things. They just never got over the hump. Then it obviously all just started to spiral out of control. A lot of Bengals fans say that Marvin Lewis doesn't get enough credit, by the way, for winning.
Yeah, he won a lot. In the regular season.
They had a lot of players, though, too. I mean, they had a lot of good players. Yeah. You remember Hushman Zada back in the day, and Ocho, and Carson Palmer was there, and they had a good offensive line there for a while. They were just never able to get over the hump. And now after this last year, whenever they were trying to win and they just couldn't do it, a lot of people ask the question of, the Bengals stink. Are they going to stink forever? If they trade out of that first pick and choose not to get their franchise player, I would say that they're destined to stink forever.
The first 5 years that Dalton was there, they had 9 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, 10 wins, and 12 wins.
That's what Dalton doesn't get any credit either.
No.
Because he obviously has that delicious ginger hair that quite a grow up whenever he doesn't get any credit for being a good football player. Got benched this year on trade day, on his birthday, then gets brought back, wins a game, loses a game. I mean, Andy Dalton doesn't get nearly enough credit as well, but the Bengals have never been able to win that thing.
Would anything short of winning a Super Bowl be a failure for Patrick Mahomes?
What a dumb question. Every team that doesn't win the Super Bowl feels as if the season is a failure. The only reason you are playing in the NFL is to win the Super Bowl. Every single season, everybody starts at the bottom of the mountain, and they're trying to make it to the top of the mountain. Whether you don't make the playoffs or you end up losing in the playoffs, it's the same outcome for every team but one, which is a disappointment. Patrick Mahomes is in his 3rd season, 2nd year playing. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl now, let's assume he's going to win it within the next couple of years. But yes, it is a failure if you don't win the Super Bowl every single year. That is just what it is. You look at the Miami Dolphins. Their front office was getting rid of people that didn't think fit, and the idea was tank for Tua. But Flores had those boys ready to go and try to win a Super Bowl every single week. That's just how the game. You play to win the game. Yes, it's a failure if you don't win the Super Bowl, especially with this team. You know what it was last year, too? A failure that they didn't win the Super Bowl. That's just the way it goes. But Patrick Mahomes, only in his 2nd year, he's about to sign for $200 million. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl, it's a failure, just like it's a failure for Dustin Colquitt, the punter for the team that they didn't win the Super Bowl.
This is my favorite one. Will Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks come back next season primed for a Super Bowl run?
Nope. They're going to stink next year. And Russell Wilson just has decided right now that next year they're not going to be primed for a Super Bowl run. Could you imagine writing that question and being like, you know what, let's talk about this. Are the Seattle Seahawks going to be primed for a Super Bowl run next year? Every team thinks they're primed for a Super Bowl run. We talked to Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas didn't play in one single playoff game. He's considered one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time, the greatest offensive lineman of all time. Didn't play in a playoff game one time. Was almost defeated every single game that he lined up in. And he said every single year he had the mindset that they were going to win the Super Bowl that year, because that's what the NFL is. The NFL is a group of men who are played to play professional football, who are very good at their jobs, who have a coach that rallies them. And in training camp, you buy into this belief that you're going to be a good team because you have to, because you're surrounded by a bunch of great football players. Some teams get it done. Most teams don't. But yes, they're obviously primed for a Super Bowl run. And if they say no, imagine if somebody's like, nope, next year they're going to stink. Russell Wilson's going to forget how to throw the ball when he's outside the pocket. Tyler Lockett is going to forget how to run fast. Marshawn Lynch won't be on the team anymore. That defense that has Jadeveon Clowney, who's just a disruptor who doesn't pick up a bunch of stats, he's going to stink next year. And Pete Carroll is going to stop chewing gum. They have no chance of winning the Super Bowl next year. Imagine somebody said it. Those are dumb questions that are asked on sports shows. I appreciate you, Diggs. Let's get to an incredibly intelligent phone call from Findlay, Ohio. James, what's up, pal?
Hey, Pat. Make sure you go to IHateStevenSinger.com to get Samantha of the Gold Rose. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Now, can Michigan get rid of that dumb bum up there in Harbaugh?
Finley's he's from Findlay, Ohio. I would assume he's an Ohio State fan. If I was him, I wouldn't want Harbaugh to get rid of, be gone anyways. Harbaugh is this, and they go, James, by the way, great phone call right there. Great phone call right there. And he knows my fiance from the show, doesn't know her from the internet, because people that know her from the internet call her Sammy Lynn, because that's her online. So anytime we're walking in public and somebody's like, Pat, Sammy Lynn, I'm always like, oh, that person follows you on the internet. Okay, that's good. Anytime I call her Sammy Lynn, she slaps me. That's hers, not mine. But James, I think that is a hilarious concept that hasn't been talked about much. Harbaugh's name wasn't even up for many NFL jobs, by the way. Matt Rule still very much had a job at Baylor. His name was up immediately for every head coaching job. Urban Meyer hasn't had a college job in a year. His name was up for every NFL job, basically. Like, his name was in the mix. Harbaugh's name never came up for an NFL conversation, for an NFL coach. I mean, maybe at the beginning, at the beginning of the season, like, Harbaugh maybe going to the NFL after this year. They had another disappointing year. Michigan fans always expect the national championship. They're not going to get it because Ohio State is such a buzzsaw in the Big Ten. It's just the way it goes until they can get, over the Ohio State hump. I think it's going to be a long road. But Harbaugh's name not being mentioned for any of those jobs is very intriguing to me, very interesting to me. And is that the state of Harbaugh? Is Harbaugh no longer the coach in the intrigue that he once was because of what has happened in Michigan? That's something we have to watch for the next year or so.
It's just Michigan, they expect to be in the playoffs every single year. And I don't know if it's their fault or whose fault it is. But
they get
I just
the
don't
recruits.
They do get the recruits, but that's just not who they have been recently.
Ann Arbor is beautiful.
Oh, it's awesome. It's beautiful. There's no reason they don't win. Keep Harbaugh as long as possible. But like you said, shtick's getting old.
Oh, you think the Harbaugh shtick's getting a little bit old?
He's a Michigan State guy. Yeah.
He's a Michigan State guy, but he's also in Michigan, so he's heard this entire conversation his entire life. When we went up there for the Barstool Tailgate Show in Ann Arbor, I've never been more at awe of a college experience. You're talking about 15,000 square foot houses these college kids are living in. You're talking about Benzos, Bentleys, and Mercedes in every single driveway. Michigan and Ann Arbor is a beautiful place. I'm just not sure their football team's ever going to be able to beat Ohio State. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat Ryan Day in that Ohio State team, honestly.
Nope. They need a quarterback. They haven't had a quarterback in forever.
You're saying Shea's bad, dude?
Yes, I am.
Come on. It's unbelievable. Marcus in Tucson, Arizona. What's up, dude?
Oh, what's going on, Pat McAfee and the boys? I just wanted to call in and see what you think about the Packers and 49ers game, because I know the Pack got steamrolled last time. It feels like everyone's pulling for the 49ers. They're a 7.5 point favorite, I believe, last I checked.
It's going up.
How do you think Aaron Rodgers can pull off an upset in San Francisco and get to the Super Bowl?
Great question, Marcus. It's actually Santa Clara, but this Niners team is fully healthy, which I think they didn't always have on that defensive side of the ball. In some of the games that they didn't play well, they didn't have all of their weapons on the defensive side of the ball. Robert Salah has been able to piece together this defense to play in a manner that is very disruptive to the other team. I mean, it was displayed the first 10 weeks of the NFL season that Niners defense was just winning games on a very regular occasion. I mean, it was awesome. And the offense, the question was, can this Niners offense keep up with the Niners defense to win games for them in the long haul? And then all of a sudden in New Orleans, after that Baltimore Ravens loss on the road, they went down to New Orleans and that offense became this buzzsaw out of nowhere. They have George Kittle, they have all these weapons, and they have Kyle Shanahan's big old brain. But for me, the thing that keeps the Packers in this game is Aaron Rodgers. And I'm saying that strictly because we are friends with him. But also, he's made a lot of comments this year that have alluded to the fact that he's playing with a massive chip on his shoulder and very petty, and I think that has kind of radiated through the entire locker room. He said he can see hole 18. He's already talked about how he's probably not many years of this left. He's talked about how everybody's kind of wiped them off, and that mindset of bringing a team together, especially going on the road together against a team that is favored by more than a touchdown against you, is something that can really motivate you. Look at the Titans with the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Packers, with the opportunistic defense that they have, with Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams also running routes that are just disgusting right now. Now he's going to be locked down probably by Sherman. I'll be excited to watch that battle. But I think it is all on Aaron Rodgers, not only his arm and his playmaking ability, but his motivational and leadership skills that doesn't get talked about enough in the locker room, willing a team to win. I think that's really what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, they need to scheme things up so he can get the ball out quick, because that's what happened last time. All the routes were 15 to 20 yards down the field, and he just got eaten up by the Niners D-line. And Aaron Jones, they largely minimized him. He didn't do anything. So, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, the Niners are probably the better team. But like you said, it's tough to bet against Rodgers when, it's a one-game playoff.
It's Aaron Rodgers, dude. I know people say Ryan Tannehill's better than him, but
right, yeah.
Does it help that they got blown out in the first game?
I don't think that game matters.
No.
Every game is its own season. I think that's what people that are fans of the sport don't understand. Every game is its own season. Literally. You have no idea what's going to happen each week, preparation-wise, scheme-wise, strategy-wise. I think the Patriots have exploited that the most. Every game is its own season. You don't know what's going to happen in the game. You don't know if you're going to be a run-first offense, a pass-first offense. You don't know what's going to happen in the game. You don't know what adjustments you're going to have to make, which I think early in the season LaFleur was not great at,
right,
but I think he's gotten better at. I think every game is its own season. So although they did get blown out, I think that's something they can rely on a little bit. Maybe the offensive line can be like, okay, these are some stunts that they did against us. This is how they took advantage of us. But each game is its own season, not just in the playoffs, but in the regular season as well. And if you have that mindset, nothing that you've done in the past or in the future really matters.
They didn't have Balaga in the first game either. I mean,
massive.
Like,
great beer chugger. We got to get to a break because we got Lorenzo Alexander on the other side from the Buffalo Bills. We'll talk to him about how a Packers offense could potentially slow down that Niners defense. And we'll talk about the Titans and Chiefs. How do the Titans stop the steamroll that is that Chiefs offense that Tyreek Hill just said, ain't nobody can stop us. No disrespect, but there ain't nobody can stop us. And it seems like he's potentially right. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show, 37 minutes after the hour. This song stinks. Don't stop now. Keep going. Roman swipes for that problem of yours. Joining us now is a man. I'm trying to get the amount of years he played. You have to do the math. He played forever for the Buffalo Bills and amongst others. Linebacker, recently retired, superstar, Lorenzo Alexander.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's going on?
Hey, congratulations on retirement, brother. Hell of a run you guys went on, too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been great, man. The last 4 years up in Buffalo have been awesome.
How now going into retirement, did you know coming into the season this was potentially it? Was it mid-season? When did you have that conversation?
Yeah, it was definitely potentially coming in this last season. Me and my wife had talked about it really over the last 2 or 3 years. Obviously getting older, our kids are getting older and want to be a part of their lives. But I didn't make the decision probably around week 8, week 9, body feeling bad. All those type of things that go into your mind, just how I feel as an older player. But mainly the main reason was it came down to choosing my family and really wanting to be there for my kids, for my wife, travel, and really enjoy the things that we sacrificed over the last 15 years and be able to do it with a high quality, not limping around, gipping around if I continue to play this game.
Every Hall of Fame speech, normally there comes a time where the Hall of Famer says, I apologize to my kids for not being around enough. That doesn't get thought about a lot by NFL players whenever you're in it. It's a very selfish profession. You're not around a lot. You got to do what you got to do. And the wife and the mom usually has to carry a lot of the burden. I'm happy you're making that decision.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And like you said, my wife has really held it down. And what it started becoming for me is that, I believe in faith, family, and football. And being an older player, I had to start preparing to prepare. All the massages, the dry needling, acupuncture, the stretching, all those type of things that would add additional time on top of my regular preparation that took additional time away from the kids.
You played 15 years. Luke Kuechly just retired after 8. Do you blame him for that decision, or did you see it coming?
Yeah, not at all. I mean, obviously, Luke has had some issues with concussions, and at the end of the day, this game is not worth your livelihood and the quality of life that you want to be able to live on, with his family, with his future kids, and all those other things that this game can strip from you if you are dumb tough, as I call it, and try to push through things that you shouldn't do. Push through.
I agree completely. I'm very happy for you, very happy for Luke Kuechly. Let's move to these games now. 15 years in the NFL. Have you ever seen an offense with this many weapons like the Kansas City Chiefs have right now?
Not really, not at all. I mean, they operate on so many different levels. I mean, it's a high-octane offense, and once they figure you out, and I've been around or competed against Andy Reid, coach teams often, and once he gets his thumb on you, it might be night. I've been many times when I played against him up in Philly when I was with the Redskins, and they put a 50 spot on us. And so that's probably the only other time I've seen a team kind of made up like this, when they had Deshaun, they had Vic, they had Shady. They had a lot of weapons offensively, and you just can't double one guy because anybody can beat you at any time.
What do the Titans have, and what have the Titans done with their team now? You guys played them earlier in the season.
Yeah.
They have evolved since then, right? I mean, Ryan Tannehill has become this special.
I wouldn't say they have evolved. I think they figured out how to win and execute at a high level, and they're very similar to Baltimore, and they beat Baltimore at their own game. They're going to ground and pound you, play great defense, try to get up on you, maybe 1 or 2 scores, and then turn it into a 4-minute offense and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry over and over and over again until you get tired of tackling him. And then the fourth quarter, he comes up big with another score. And then on defense, they play good, sound, great defense and create turnovers and give the ball back to their offense. And so they're not going to wow you, but they're going to play sound football, kind of throwback a little bit when you play them, kind of back to earlier in my career in the NFL. So they're a little bit of a throwback style team.
Do they have what it takes to stop this Chiefs team that is a complete buzzsaw?
Defensively, they're going to have to create some turnovers. They if it gets into a shootout in a sense where they have to try to score 21, 24, 28 points, they lose the game. But if they can keep it low scoring, create some turnovers, make them kick field goals when they get into the red zone, they'll have a shot. Definitely, because nobody wants to tackle Henry when the game is tight in the fourth quarter.
That's what I was about to say. Everybody talks about having to tackle Derrick Henry. I don't think I've heard this many elite players talk about having to tackle a human.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make up your mind, and obviously I've competed against him in the last 2 or 3 years a couple of times, and he's beat me, I've beat him, and we've had some draws, but you have to physically bring it to him all day long. And as a DB, I can't be mad at a DB who may be 175, 190, and you got this guy that's 250 that's coming again, and they crack, and you got to replace. Most guys don't make that business decision or even hold on and wait for the cavalry to come. But by that time, he's either stiff-armed you or made you miss, and he's, out the gate.
What is that? Is that like a boxer preparing for a fight? I'd assume. Like, hey, I'm gonna have to run into this dude. I'm gonna have.
Yeah, right. But the issue is that most guys, we even saw like Earl ET make a statement last week, like they're gonna have the mindset to come out and tackle him. But you do that in the first, second quarter, and then that third, he popped you one time, and in that third, fourth quarter, you're like, I'm gonna go in there, but I don't really want it. And so it just happens. And it's natural after you try to keep tackling a big man like that who's relentless.
What do you think about that Niners defense, and how are they going to cause problems for Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers and his Green Bay Packers team have won close games now. They've been very close, but they've won. They've continued to win. The defense has been opportunistic, but everybody's talking about this Niners defense being fully healthy, Jimmy G and that offense getting into a groove. How do you see that game playing out, and what can Aaron Rodgers do against that defense?
It's going to be hard. I mean, I love the Niners front four. I mean, obviously they're all first rounders, very elite, and they get after the quarterback, and they play the run very well as well. So it's really going to be led by them. And for Aaron, if he can't get to a rhythm early, if they're able to take away Parker, maybe double team him, and his first read is off, it's going to give those guys up front to get to him. And so it's going to be very tough because I think a Kyle Shanahan offense, again, they game plan well. They don't care how they beat you. They're going to exploit your weaknesses by running the ball or passing it and coming up with some things to really attack your weaknesses. So in my mind, I think it's going to be the 49ers that come out with the victory in this game.
I think everybody's thinking that it's a 7.5 point spread right now. I mean, it's more than a score right now for that Packers team who's been in 3-point games basically all year. That's a large number, I think.
Yeah, and they found ways to win, obviously, because of Aaron and what he's able to bring to that table as far as being an elite quarterback. But this 49ers team is probably one of the most complete teams I've seen for a while. Obviously having the core up front, playing great defense, and then offensively being able to beat you multiple ways, whether it's the passing game, the running game, and they have a pretty good quarterback themselves.
What do you think about the future of the Buffalo Bills? You guys had a hell of a run this year, and I think everybody enjoyed watching. Now, granted, they're going to have to replace you, which is a veteran leader and a hell of a player. That's going to be difficult, but this Bills team looks like you guys they're potentially on a rise.
Yeah, the culture that we've established here over the last 3 years is definitely on the right trajectory. And the guys like Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tremaine Edmonds, Tre'Davious White, Josh Allen, those guys are going to take the reins of, the absence of me as far as leadership. And this team is going to take a next step. We got $90 million that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott have at the disposal this offseason. And they've been very smart, just looking at the history of the guys that they've identified as obviously great football players, but then great leaders that they can bring in here and then add to what they have. And so, and includes the draft. I think those guys are going to do a great job, and this football team is going to take the next step because they're really starting to hit their prime. Josh and Tremaine going into their third year, really be starting to solidify themselves as from middle range players to now stepping to that elite level, kind of like what Tre'Davious did this year playing corner. So it's a lot of promise, and I haven't even mentioned Devin Singletary and what he brings to the table. So it's going to be a big time. I think next year they get a home playoff game and make a run.
And the Patriots are potentially dead. So, I mean, that's just what happened. Lorenzo, congratulations on your retirement. And every time we have you on the show, I'm nothing short of impressed. You're going to do great things. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, Pat. Appreciate you guys.
Lorenzo Alexander, 15 years, linebacker in the NFL. Let's get some news that we missed real quick here, Frank.
Demi Lovato is going to sing the national.
Diggs, very excited right there.
I love her.
Why?
I mean, her voice is incredible. Do
Really?
yourself a favor. What?
Really?
Go to YouTube, watch Skyscraper live. You'll almost cry every single time.
She was tough to handle as a judge on that one show, but I do believe she makes good music. You're saying hammer the over regardless
Well,
of
I
what
got
it
to see
is.
the number first. I did research this morning. I saw a 212 when she did Mayweather-McGregor, which is a big stage. Super Bowl is also a big stage. She had a lot of long pauses. I can see the number, but it looks like it's going to be a long one.
Okay, Nick, anything else?
Zion Williamson reportedly will make his NBA debut next Wednesday, the 22nd.
Let's go! Yeah! Shout out to the new walking style. It's going to make him a better basketball player.
Cyber criminals have scammed the Texas school district out of $2.3 million using just a phony email.
Jeez, that's tough.
Tony.
Come on.
So why are you laughing at that? That's the future of America. Those kids getting stolen. You think it's kids from the school doing it?
No.
Kids from the school are like,
that would
see
be
these
awesome.
teachers? They're the dumbest. What do we need? Just one fake email and we can get this whole thing? That's tough stuff. Anything else, Nick?
32-year-old Colombian tennis player Robert Farah posted news on social media not long after he pulled out of the Australian Open, which he initially cited for personal reasons. Turns out he tested positive for a banned substance called baldanona, which is an androgen and anabolic steroid. He believes the positive test was a result of eating contaminated meat in his home country.
Happens.
Hey, sometimes those meat got anabolic steroids in them. You know what I mean? No GMOs. That's why you got to go through. You got to really check that out. I had no idea steroids would help in tennis. I would assume being smaller, thinner. You never see really jacked up dudes that are big time.
He is quite small and thin too.
Just the recovery,
maybe.
Yeah.
Recovery, yeah. Do steroids do the recovery, or is that the other stuff?
I think I know in baseball that's why a lot of guys use steroids. They say is for recovery.
Oh, he's the doubles world #1.
Hey, tennis is a lot of work. I mean, that is just running. Bunch of yuppies play it, not a lot of real humans, but I think that's a fun sport to watch. It's nice to hear that somebody in there is really trying to get an edge over all the other rich guys playing. That's very nice of him. Is he out forever?
No, they didn't say how long the ban was. Hurt his teammate. It's a doubles player.
Yeah, you got to watch the meat you're putting in your mouth, honestly. I think if I've learned anything, that's what you got to do. Also, supplements can be contaminated, too, because a lot of those supplements are all made in the same factories. You see a lot of professional athletes get knocked for something. Normally, it's because a supplement that doesn't say it has something in it because another supplement's made in the same factory. That's just something to think about. That could be an excuse. It could be a lie. Could be stupid, which is what this show is. We'll be back for more tomorrow. I think Jim Rome is next. This has been the Pat McAfee Show. I think I made it.